Have you ever felt like someone could read your mind just by looking at you? Or maybe you've been in a conversation and suddenly felt an overwhelming need to just agree? What if I told you this wasn't an accident? It might be a deliberate, calculated technique from the world of dark psychology. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most powerful, yet subtle, tools of influence: the eyes. We often hear that the eyes are the windows to the soul. In dark psychology, however, they're not windows. They're weapons. They are tools of subversion, control, and silent domination. What we're about to discuss isn't about mind reading. It's about mind shaping. It's about understanding the deep-seated, primal responses we all have to certain non-verbal cues and learning how to use them. Let's start with the classic technique you might have heard of. One that can instantly shift the power dynamic in any one-on-one conversation. It's called the triangle technique. Now, there's a friendly version of this, where you look from one eye to the other, then down to the mouth. This signals interest and even attraction. But we're not talking about making friends today. We're talking about establishing authority. The dark psychology version of the triangle technique is different. It's sharper, more intimidating, and it works on a subconscious level that most people can't even identify. Here's how you do it. While someone is talking to you, you look at their right eye for a couple of seconds. Then, shift your gaze to their left eye. And here is the crucial part. Instead of dropping your gaze to their mouth, you move it to the center of their forehead, right between their eyebrows. Right eye, left eye, forehead. Repeat this cycle. Why does this work? Why is looking at a forehead so different from looking at a mouth? It's all about primal triggers. When you look at someone's mouth, you're signaling that you're focused on their words, that you're engaged in a friendly exchange. But when you shift your gaze to their forehead, you trigger a completely different response. Subconsciously, it feels like you are being scrutinized, evaluated, and judged by an authority figure. Think about it. When a parent is scolding a child or a boss is reprimanding an employee, where does their gaze often land? It's a focused, intense stare that isn't about connection, but about assessment. By using this triangle, you are hijacking that deep-seated psychological trigger. The person you're talking to won't consciously think, "Oh, they're looking at my forehead. I feel judged." Instead, they'll just feel a vague, unexplainable sense of pressure. They might start to stumble over their words, lose their train of thought, or become more agreeable, simply because they feel a subconscious need to gain the approval of the authority figure you've suddenly become. It's a silent way to say, "I am in control of this conversation." You haven't raised your voice, you haven't interrupted them, but you've completely altered the balance of power. Now, let's amplify that power. The triangle technique is subtle, but what if you want to be more direct? What if you want to assert pure, undiluted dominance? This is where we talk about the power of the unbroken stare. We're taught from a young age that holding eye contact is polite. It shows you're listening. But like any tool, it's all about how you use it. Normal, friendly eye contact lasts for about 3 to 5 seconds before one person naturally looks away for a moment. It's a comfortable rhythm. But what happens when you break that rhythm? What happens when you hold someone's gaze for 7 seconds, 8, 10, without blinking? You are no longer being friendly. You have crossed a line into something far more primal. You are asserting predatory dominance. This isn't just a social fox pause. It's a biological challenge. In the animal kingdom, a prolonged, unblinking stare is a direct threat. It's what a predator does right before it strikes. And even though we live in modern society, our brains are still wired with these ancient, instinctual responses. When you hold someone's gaze for that long, you are sending a powerful, non-verbal signal that says, "I am not afraid of you. I am the dominant one here." The effect is almost immediate and incredibly potent. The other person is faced with a subconscious choice. They will either break eye contact and look away, which is a clear act of submission, or they will become inexplicably anxious and defensive. Their heart rate might increase. They might start to fidget, their body goes into a subtle fight or flight mode, because your stare has just signaled a threat. You've put them on the defensive without uttering a single word. You have demonstrated that you are unshakable. But a word of caution is essential here. These techniques are not toys. They are powerful psychological tools, and wielding them comes with responsibility. Using them inappropriately or on the wrong person can backfire spectacularly. If you try to use the predatory stare on someone who is also versed in these techniques, or someone who is naturally more dominant than you won't be seen as powerful. You'll be seen as aggressive and strange. It could escalate a situation from a simple conversation to a direct confrontation. Understanding these methods isn't just about learning how to use them. It's also about learning to recognize when they are being used on you. If you suddenly feel anxious or submissive in a conversation, take a moment. Pay attention to the other person's eyes. Are they using the triangle? Are they holding your gaze just a little too long? Recognizing the technique is the first step to neutralizing it. You can break the pattern by consciously looking away, changing the subject, or even physically creating distance. Knowledge is power. The world of dark psychology is filled with subtle strategies that people use every day to influence, persuade, and control. The eyes are just the beginning. There are patterns in speech, specific gestures, and ways of framing arguments that are all designed to bypass your rational mind and appeal directly to your subconscious emotions and instincts. They're used in boardrooms, in sales negotiations, and even in personal relationships. People are constantly trying to gain an edge, to shape your perception, to get you to do what they want. And most of the time, you won't even realize it's happening. You'll just walk away feeling like you made your own decision, when in reality, your path was carefully guided by someone who understands these hidden rules of human interaction. The power to influence is a double-edged sword. You now have a glimpse into how to use it, but more importantly, you have the beginnings of a defense against it. You understand that a simple gaze can be a calculated maneuver. You know that a feeling of unease might not be random, but a reaction to a subtle assertion of dominance. This is your shield. By learning what others are trying to hide in their behavior, you empower yourself to see the world more clearly. You can protect your own autonomy and make decisions based on your own logic, not on subconscious manipulation. The choice is yours. Will you be the player or the piece on the board? The more you know, the harder you are to control. If you found this exploration into the hidden language of the eyes fascinating, imagine what else is lurking beneath the surface of our daily interactions. This is just one small piece of a much larger puzzle. There are countless other techniques designed to influence your thoughts and actions. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to MindSnacks, and we'll continue to uncover the secrets that people don't want you to know, helping you see what others are trying to hide. Stay aware, and stay sharp.